Hi everybody, today we're going to have a look at the air conditioning system. So the Grand Californian 680 behind me has got that unit particularly fitted. You can probably see it right up on top of the roof. We'll show you that in a moment. One of the important things to remember is that you do have to have this plugged in on a campsite somewhere, for example, so it has to have the mains power plugged in for this unit to work. It doesn't work off grid or anything like that, so it does need that electrical hookup for the vehicle. So that's the first thing. And second thing is to get it really cold inside and to get the best use out of it. Obviously you're best having all the doors and windows shut, and then obviously it will keep the temperature that you want it to be in there as well, because obviously if you're trying to get lots of cold air in and your windows and doors are open, there's a lot of heat coming in, it doesn't obviously work as effectively as well. So anyway, so let's have a look inside and then we'll have a look on the outside after that. So as I said, you can control the air conditioning system 3 different ways. On the actual unit itself, via the control panel, and with the actual remote as well, which the vehicle comes through. So we're going to do the easy one first and actually look at the unit itself, because it's really easy, because there's only really one button on it which you need to worry about. So once you've arrived at your campsite, obviously you've plugged in onto your mains electricity, because as I said, this air conditioning unit will only work when you've got mains plugged in on the side. You can press the on button and that will put it onto standby, and that will give you an orange light which comes up on the side of it here now, and that basically means that it's ready to work either off the control panel or off your remote control, either way from there. Next to that you've got a light button which you press and it puts a light which comes all the way around the outside from here as well, and then you can also actually turn it on directly from this system. So you press and hold the on button and you can hear it working. Yeah, I'll turn it back off again, because as you can probably hear from that, you won't be able to hear me talking with it on. But pressing and holding that button for 3 seconds puts it into auto mode, so the light turns to green to say that it's on. Your fans come on, for example, and obviously it'll start then pushing air out. To turn it off, you again, exactly the opposite, press and hold that button for 3 seconds. It will start flashing orange, and that's why it's putting it into shutdown mode and putting it back into standby, which will take probably a minute or so for it to actually do that. It won't let you just cut off straight away. So you've got 2 other things that you can do on top of here. So you've got a roller at the front here. What that does is it directs the air either straight out, or if you roll it forward, you direct the air down. And you've got one at the back as well. And then you've got a slider on the side here, which obviously is pushing the air either in the middle, so to both front and back, or you could, for example, have it just pushing to the front. So it was a nice hot day, and you obviously wanted the air conditioning in the rest of the vehicle, and you don't particularly want it in the rear. You could just flick that to the front, and obviously it's just going to keep pushing that cold air and push it down to the front cab. Now the unit itself does have a filter in there, and they do advise that you change that filter every 12 months. Obviously you'll determine, depending on how much you've actually used the air conditioning system as well. That is something that is just show you how it's done in the book, just give you a description in the book. I'm not going to take you through that today, and it does mention about actually having somebody qualified to do it, but obviously you can have a read of that with your vehicle and make the choice whether you want to do it yourself or whether you want to get somebody else to do it. So moving on to the control panel, this gives you a little bit more flexibility now with the control panel. So turn it on, that's in there, turn it on to temperature. So obviously your normal heating that's in the vehicle, but we've got the air conditioning AC unit, it's on there. So we've got on and off, your temperature that you're trying to gain, and obviously you've got the air conditioning on the auto setting as well. So if we were to turn it on, it starts off straight at the back, that's on there. Temperature wise, probably don't want it hot, so you probably want it cold, so maybe 19 degrees or 18 or 17 degrees. That's obviously going to get it really cold. So minimum temperature is 16 degrees and the maximum temperature is 31. So within the auto set we've got it on cooling, or you can have it on heating. Your fan speed, so you can just keep pressing this to increase or decrease your fan. This is the manual, because you can move these things about yourself. or if you flick that, it puts it back onto auto. So if it was me using the system, I think using it off the control panel is probably the easy way of using it. I'd probably set it on automatic, and I'd probably set it at a certain temperature, and then just move it depending on there. And then finally, you've got a remote control. Now with the remote control, it gives you the same functions pretty much as you've got on there. So the important thing to remember when you're using the remote control is you do need to point it towards the air conditioning system. So to turn it on, press the on button at the top there, and your air conditioning system will come on. Now currently this is set to automatic, so you've got a little A in the middle there, the screen, and you can change the temperature up and down with the plus and minus figure. So at 20 degrees for example, 21, or come down if you want to get it cooler within the vehicle. Obviously you can change that mode from automatic. So if you were to go into manual mode, you press the button on manual until it takes you just to the fan section, and then you can press the fan button, and that will allow you then, every time you press the fan button, it will increase the fans. That's like the manual version. And obviously then we can go back to automatic if it's happy with that. And then the last button on the actual top section of the remote here is the actual light button, and again that does the same as pressing the button on the control unit and puts a light on around the side of it. So those are your main control buttons, which is why they're in that top section. And then you've got individual buttons which do separate settings below that. So we've got sleep mode, which is the bottom one here. So by pressing that and you activate it on the system, what it will do is after an hour it will drop the temperature by 1 degree, and then another hour after that it will drop the temperature again by another degree. And the idea being is it gives it more of a comfortable sleeping time that's there. To deactivate it, just press it again, and that will deactivate that, will come off. Your middle section here is your timer, so if you press it on here, you'll see at the very top here it's flashing now a time, so you can change your times in there, and again for it to go off, on and off times. So you could for example have it set so that it would come on in the morning, so when you think you were going to wake up it was a nice bright morning, or if you, for example, if you're out during the day and you wanted to come on at a certain time for when you came back to your vehicle, you could do that through there. So your set button, that's when for example you're in a menu, so if you were in the timer section and you change the times on there, if you press set, obviously then that will set the particular times as you move through. Degrees and Fahrenheit, obviously that's just going to change your display depending on whether you want to see it in degrees or in Fahrenheit. That's there. So this middle button here, what it's actually doing is it's sending the temperature from here, from the remote. So by pressing the button that's there, you'd then put this remote somewhere down that it was actually pointing towards the air conditioning system, and then every 10 minutes it's going to relay the temperature back to the air conditioning system itself, and obviously it will keep it then adjusting it based on what readings it's actually sending to it as well. That's there. And then finally to deactivate that you just press the button again, and then finally the final button on the bottom here is just to show you what temperature the actual remote control is actually reading itself, which is 19 degrees at the moment inside here. So in summary between the three systems, my personal preference would be to use the control panel here that's on the wall for it, if you were just in your normal cab. Here, obviously the remote control is probably quite handy if you're in bed and you're actually wanting to actually change the unit that's on there other than just the normal auto mode. So it kind of depends on where you are in the vehicle. Obviously the control panel does pretty much everything you'd want it to do, because really all you want to do is leave it on automatic. I think personally that's what you just leave it on auto and let it do what it needs to do. But obviously the remote control will let you, for example, change those times, so you could set it if you're going out to come back on at 5 o'clock for example, so that when you come back to your vehicle and you open your door it's all nice and cool inside, if you're somewhere warm as well. Just to make it easy for you as well, if you've just got one of these as well and you're not quite sure how to set the time on the thing, press and hold your time button. The time at the top starts flashing. Change it to whatever time you might want it. Rather than being here all day, we'll just change it to 36 minutes past midnight for a minute. Press set, and it's set the time for you. So final thing really to point out with the air conditioning unit is the actual outside of the vehicle. We've seen it from the inside, and you can see the unit on top of the vehicle that's there. And I've had people ask me, obviously, you know, what's the actual height of this, because it's not listed in the brochure, but it basically, the vehicle height comes up to just over 3 metres, so about 3.1 metres as best I can measure it. So somewhere around 3.1 metres is what it comes out to. The standard vehicle height is about 2.9, and then obviously you've got the extra height then from that unit, which I think is probably somewhere around that kind of height that's there up and above your skylights, which are already on the vehicle as well, and they've taken into consideration. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you've been thinking about whether or not to have the air conditioning unit, I hope this maybe has made your mind up, or if you're looking at this because you're looking at getting an air conditioning unit, I hope you've found it useful. So if you have, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up that's there. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe and tick that notification bell, and we'll see you next time.